this is Zoltan Bathory, and the pineapple is with me. It's like that's part of the story here. And I'm the guitar player in Five Finger Death Punch.
Beautiful, Zoltan. Thanks for joining us today, brother. So we're here today, of course, because this Friday, April the 5th, sees Five Finger Death Punch release a digital deluxe version of your 2022 album, Afterlife. So how are you feeling?
Great, man. This been a long time in it's we worked on it for a long time. Basically, the deluxe edition of this record is coming out because the time when we originally released this album, we had this track, that collaboration with DMX everybody's talking about today, and the song was meant to be on this record. However, because DMX passed, and we have to have the approval of every single person that was involved, the estate, to the producers, to the publishers, we realized that it might take longer than anticipated, and it did take a little bit over a year to completely clear everything. And so we didn't want to wait. So we released the album without this track. But this track was always meant to be on this album, right? So, in every record you assemble, it kind of like every song has a reason to be there, and every song has a reason to be in that specific spot in the sequence, right? And so, one of my favorite records we ever did, Afterlife, but still we missed this song. This song was important, and it was important to be on this record. So basically, now that the deluxe edition coming out, I feel like we completed the record.
Yeah, sure. So, is there as much excitement from the band for something like this, like just a deluxe version coming out, I guess, is what there is when the original album comes out?
Yeah, as I said, it's because this is how it was meant to be. This would be the way how we wanted to record this album. So this song needed to be on there. So everybody's obviously excited. And the fact that we got to do a collaboration with one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time. And, and then we threw a couple of, acoustic versions on the record, acoustic versions of the songs, which is also, they give a different perspective on the same song. So they're not remixes, they're re-recorded some parts and acoustic parts, and you know what I mean? So it has a reason to be there because it's not a remix, but a different interpretation of the same song.
Yeah.
Sound different, feels different, and that's important.
Cool. So I just want to run through that a bit, mate, because Afterlife Deluxe features the 12 original songs from Afterlife plus the 4 bonus tracks, like you say. So 3 of them are acoustic. So I want to run through these songs one at a time, mate, and just run us through the new version and tell us a bit about it. So the first one, of course, is The End.
So again, same thing there. The End, that's actually one of my favorite songs on that record. We were thinking about that song could have been a single, but there are just so many singles you can pull off a record. After the third one, it's singles. That's maybe too many, but unfortunately that didn't become a single. We kind of wanted it to. And that song, we kind of reimagined it acoustically. It did have a couple of guitar dives that we did with the tuning keys. It was a challenge to do those on acoustic guitar, but we managed. So even that part, the breakdown part of that particular song, actually I prefer the acoustic version, So sometimes that happens, you rework a song and maybe just because it's newer, that's why I'm preferring that, because I love the song The End, but when we did the acoustic version, I thought man, I really like this one. So I might be even favoring the acoustic version of that.
Yeah. And then you've got Judgment Day acoustic.
So Judgment Day is a very different sounding song to begin with. When the low story of that song is that Kevin and I was in the studio and we had this idea of, both Ivan and I had some what would you call it? After sort of an experience that is very spiritual, from the sense of we both died at one point or another, right? So what happens when you die? How do things sound? The process of dying, right? We all had this, or you can call it near-death experience. The definition is kind of loose because did I really die? Because I'm back. I mean, you know, it's kind of a question mark. But that near-death experience, what happens with your mind, how your brain disconnects from your body, and possibly what happens that it gets into full capacity because now it doesn't have the sensory feed of the body. It might turn on another frequency or focus on another frequency that otherwise you're not aware of, like the sixth sense we call that spiritual, you know, frequency. That I had a full-on out-of-body experience, for example, and I even had his own, you know, experience with this. And we wanted to do a song that kind of sounds like there's a sound to this. How it sounds like, because what happens that when you in that process, what I experienced at least is that the resolution you hear sounds with enlarges. So it's almost like I can hear that the sound is not a continuous wave, but there's a pulsation, even high-pitched note that you should not be able to hear that it's a wave, that it should appear to you as a continuous sound. You hear that. You hear that it's breaking down into these bits, you know, like there's a sample rate almost like that you can perceive. And that was the idea, like, how do we recreate this? And so we created this song that was meant to be the song, the afterlife, the near-death experience. And when the song was done, we gave it to Ivan. And the first reaction of Ivan was kind of like, I'm not recording this. I know he picked it up immediately. Like, I know what this is. And it puts me back into that place when I die. So he picked up on it immediately, right? So that's how we knew, like, we nailed it, right? And then eventually he was like, you know what, this is a very interesting song. It sounds very different from most 5 Finger Death Punch songs. And he's like, I'm gonna record it. I think I can do this to add lyrically also that feeling, that passing over feeling, right? So that was that song, right? But because it sounded so different from all the other 5 Finger Death Punch songs, there's a lot of electronics in there. We thought, you know what, it's cool. Let's see if we can break this down now to, you know, acoustic instruments. Let's see how it will sound. So that was an interesting process to us because that song was very electronic, and we had to strip it down to like an acoustic version where it still holds that, it still shows that vibe. That vibe is still there, even though it's acoustic. That was a little bit of a challenge, but I think we pulled it off.
Fascinating. That's fascinating. And then you've got Thanks for Asking.
Yeah, Thanks for Asking was written on acoustic guitar to begin with, right? So when I was working on that song, I had that riff, man, for 2 decades probably. Yeah. It happens a lot. Like, you know, I have a riff and it just doesn't, it's not yet. I call it the not yet riffs. Yeah. It goes to the vault. Because, you know, Wrong Side of Heaven, well, that song, I had it for a long, long time. That lick, I had it forever. And it just never, there was never time. Like, as I said, the record has to be a complete coherent piece of work and the song has to fit that. And it just, before that, it just didn't fit on the record. And when we did Wrong Side of Heaven, that record, obviously that's the title song, but then it made sense. And then the same thing with this one, Thanks for Asking. I had that riff for a long, long time, probably like 20 years. You know, I just never find a place for it. And then this record was eclectic enough and different enough where I was like, okay, I think this is the time to record this song. So we did it, but the original version of that was written on acoustic guitar. So it just made sense to do the acoustic version as well of that particular song because it was started on acoustic guitar.
Yeah, very cool. And then, of course, the song everyone is talking about, This Is the Way, which features the late DMX.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big one. So, when we got the master recordings of DMX and we wrote the music around it, we knew instantly that we have something in our, something special, and then when Andy dropped that guitar solo on it, man, that's a massive solo. That was also like a highlight. I thought that we really mashed the two worlds together. Heavy metal, hard rock was always sort of the tool of the revolution, the tool of the disagreement. It was always a tool of rebellion, so to speak. But so is hip hop. If you think about where that came from, that is also the voice of rebellion, the voice of dissatisfaction and it always had a rebellious tone. Now, what it developed into, that's another story, like where it is today, but it started there, you know? And so to me, these two genres were always parallel anyway. And I like to write on hip hop beats to begin with, because I like the swing. So I usually start, music with hip hop beats, and then later we change the beats. But I like that because of the swing of it. So, so it was something natural to us. And we did, LL Cool J's Mama Said Knock Yet before. We had Tech Nine guesting on that one. So this is not strange or alien to us. But man, doing one with DMX, that was like, holy cow. Unfortunately, he wasn't around to hear it, and then we went through the whole process, as I just said, to approve it. But in that process, actually, an amazing piece of that process was that the feedback from the greats of that genre. I mean, when, Daryl from Run DMC listened to it, or Jurassic 5 listened to it, or Sandnog listened to it, these guys that's their world, hip hop. And when they do the hats off, like, guys, this is special. This is something different. This is stands up for the legacy of DMX. You guys did good. I don't need another person, to validate me, but man, it feels good. I mean, these are the giants of that genre. And when you get the green light and the thumbs up from those guys, that actually means a lot, and so we got all the thumbs up from all these guys. So, can't wait for the audience to actually hear this, because I can't wait when. Well, it's like the Christmas, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you put the present and can't wait when somebody opens it. It's going to be interesting to see.
Well, you sort of touched on this, mate, like the two music, I suppose the attitudes of them do go together. But when it came time to actually melding your music with that of DMX, like, how difficult was that process?
So, I mean, we have to reverse, because we had the master tapes with, some lyrics that various takes, and we had to figure out which ones. So we had to assemble the vocal track, and from those, we had to reverse engineer the whole thing. So this is like, instead of writing music and then write lyrics on top of that music, we had to do it backwards. So we had to listen to that, that song. We had to listen to the lyrics and figure out the beat and the music that we can put under it, right? So it was a little bit different from our general process, how we work, which we generally write the music first and then comes the lyrics. This one was different. I mean, we do have some exceptions. I mean, for example, A Little Bit Off was a song that Ivan wrote, just the lyrics, right? And then we worked the music under. There were a couple of songs where he literally phoned it in, right? And just left it on an answering machine, and then we took that and played music under it. So there were a couple of events. So that's also not strange to us, but that's kind of how we had to do it. We had to reverse engineer the whole thing and write music around his lyrics, and make sure that exactly that these two worlds perfectly matches. Like, it can't be weird. It has to be natural, right? So that's the challenge. And obviously this is what we do. So so it wasn't, we were up for the task, obviously, but that's what we had to keep in mind. Respect the artist, the legacy of DMX, and do something that we thought he would have approved. He would be happy with.
Yeah, very cool. Now, 5 Finger Death Punch are known for progressing musically with each album, mate. So on the album Afterlife, like, where does it fit into the musical evolution of 5 Finger Death Punch?
It's definitely, as you said, like, that's the challenge, right? You have to keep your sound. There's an original sound that you have that the fans know that's your sound. AC/DC sounds like AC/DC, no matter what, right? But then how do you progress without losing that sound, right? And that's always a challenge. And so it can't be drastic. So you have to do this piece by piece. So basically what it is like, you have to gradually progress, because if you make a jump, a giant leap, then you lose the audience. So there has to be an obvious evolution. And that's, if you look at our first record, how heavy that was, and how hectic and, aggressive that was, and how from there the albums are evolving musically, lyrically, it becomes something else. Because as a musician, you want to evolve, but also you become a different person. I mean, that's why I put out a record every 2 years, because that's a snapshot. 2 years from now, I'm a different person. You know, at least if you live life the correct way, you will evolve, right? So the music and what you're talking about has to evolve with society, and it has to evolve with your circumstances, and has to evolve with you as a person. So that's the internal personal evolution that the lyrics and the music will reflect. And there is a musical evolution. Like, can I repeat the same freaking riffs over and over and over? And to a degree, I kind of have to, because that's our sound. But you always have to push it a little bit. And I feel like this last record was perfectly in line with that. You know, like it was an other step where we had, like, as I just said, Judgment Day is a very different song. You know, so we had songs on that part that was extremely, you know, different from, well, extremely, actually, I shouldn't even say that word, extremely, significantly different from what happened before, but without losing the sound we have. So I think when you listen to this record, you would recognize, well, it's Five Finger Death Punch, but it's a little bit different. And it's different enough for me to call it like, okay, this is an evolutionary step. Now, where do we go from here? Like, let's say a next record, I don't know. Maybe the evolution is gonna be a devolution. Maybe it's you know what, guys? Let's step back now. Let's go back a little bit and let's do something angry and heavy again, because we are in that mood now. Whatever. You know, it really depends on, it's circumstantial. What's happening in the world as well. That also will affect that, right? So, but it has to be different than the previous one, and it is different.
All right, Zoltan. Well, thanks very much for your time, mate. Our time together has come to an end, unfortunately, but best of luck with everything. Five Finger Death Punch are out on tour at the moment too. We got shows coming up the rest of the year, so check out the socials for that.
All right.
All right, brother. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, brother.
All right, enjoy.